recording again. There we go.
Suppose a calf with a broken leg could be made into steaks.
He only weighs 100 pounds.
Small steaks.
I don't say those would be pretty tiny steaks if you
People
went that
love
route.
eggs, I guess.
How'd he break it?
We don't know. They were sorting out the cows to go to different pastures. I suppose he got crushed somewhere in the excitement of sorting out.
Jumping out of trees?
That's it.
How does Steve's stuff look, Lynn?
They look really pretty good. The field across from our house, of course, is the one I'm most familiar with, and the corn's maybe 3 inches tall. He's been around to all the fields to look and see if they needed to replant, and they did a little bit. He did some spotting in yesterday or the day before, I can't remember which, but for the most part, looking good. He's out making hay this morning, or cutting hay this morning. He got part of a field done yesterday and everybody else was busy, so nobody could come along and finish it for him. So he decided he needed to do the second half of the field pretty close to the time that he did the first half. So that's what he's out doing. Makes him happy to be on the tractor out driving around doing stuff. So why not?
I bet it does.
I've seen him a couple days out here.
Yep. Yeah, they're out not too far from you. A good bit of the time. They finally finished up out there last week, I guess. But yeah, they go a long way from home. Not necessarily a long way, but it is if you're driving a tractor or a combine or something.
Hi, Norma.
Hi.
Morning, Norma.
Yeah, I agree with Lynn. It's exciting for me to look out at my 75 acres and see green rows looking back at me.
Yep.
You've had plenty of rain to keep it going for a while, haven't you?
Yes, yes.
We seem to have entered kind of that same stretch that you have where there's nothing predicted. And that could be a problem at some point, but for right now, we're okay. Makes good haymaking weather. You can mow the hay and not worry about it getting wet before you bale it.
I spent a lot of hay building here this week too. Hay raking, hay baling.
You get your new fence up? Still waiting on pieces to come in.
The new fence is not up, but we're ready for the new fence to be put up, right?
Well, we got I hope to get the posts set in tomorrow and then wait for the steel fence panels to come.
They did a lot of work in 2 days. He and Sylvester.
Well, good.
The oldest refugee boy is 26 and waiting for social security number.
Oh, okay.
So he's been out helping me on the farm a few times, and I'm pleased. He's a really good worker.
Good.
Not experienced in this sort of thing, but
I try to let him drive the tractor sometimes. I figure it's a good experience. Boy, he gets in a tight place, I get really nervous. Especially if he's trying to back up. He just cannot seem to get the idea of what way to turn the steering wheel to make the tractor go the right direction when he's backing up.
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
morning, Jonathan.
Morning, Jonathan.
Morning, Jonathan.
Morning.
How are things in Kentucky?
Well, a little cool and wet, actually.
Oh.
You getting part of that storm?
I don't think there was any storm. If so, I didn't hear it last night, but it's definitely overcast and cool enough for sleeves and say wet. So it's a little unusual.
There's some big storm down in the Carolinas, I think, and I didn't know whether you all were getting a part of, at the edge of that or not.
That may very well be what it is. Yeah, I could see that.
We're getting part of that. The storm is way up north and South Carolina, but the waves down here on the beaches are eroding. They were day before yesterday, I guess they were around 10, 12 feet. Rollers coming in.
Wow.
Supposed to be smaller today, 6 to 8, I think.
Morning, Megan.
Morning, Megan.
Morning, how are you?
Doing well.
I was so sad to hear about Eden Grace.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. Yeah.
I always think of her as a young woman. I mean, younger than me.
She's the age of my daughter. Yeah.
55 gets younger every year, from my perspective.
Did
That's,
you know, Lynn, that she passed away yesterday?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Rather, the message was 4 days ago, she walked into the emergency room after some reaction to chemotherapy issue. She was 2 days in the hospital and 2 days in almost 2 days in hospice before she left this world.
Well, if she couldn't stay in this world relatively healthy, I'm glad she didn't linger long, but it still is a shock.
Yeah. I can remember when she went, when she went to Africa, about a weighty friend in my meeting, who was at the time probably in her middle, I don't know, her 70s. And or late 60s, but probably 70s. And Patsy was just, it said, when you can see someone following a call and it's a call, it kind of, she said, it almost alarms me. Is God calling me and I'm ignoring it because I don't want to go to Africa or what? And about how just amazing it was that she could hear and follow the call so clearly.
And she's shared with me that that was a little tough in New England Yearly Meeting, where missionary isn't a commonly understood or used word.
We could throw the word revile in, and I think we could get there. I'm really sorry, but we have, we've got one very strong perspective on not whatever, but it was clear that she was called to do something powerful and important. And I don't, who am I to judge? She clearly heard a call that was very valuable and important.
Gosh.
Well, friends, it's
Jonathan-
time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just explaining to Jonathan a little bit who she was. She was from New England. She felt the call or heard the call to go to Africa with John Mahanji to set up a Friends United meeting office. That was her first big task. And so she literally had to pave her way through the jungle of the situations there to do that. And she's just been an amazing, brilliant, and efficient and inspiring personality to connect friends in America with friends in Africa.
And she brought a daughter home.
Yeah.
It's time for meeting for worship to start, and it looks like Brent must still be having internet issues. So let's all center down. We have a few prayer concerns that I'm aware of to keep in mind. Of course, Eden Grace's family, her husband and 2 sons, we were just speaking of. Many of us know Dinah Geiger through her work with a variety of things in Western Yearly Meeting. Her husband, Louis, is in the hospital having some pretty serious cardiovascular issues and things. So we need to keep them in our prayers. And a friend of my mother's generation, Marilyn Bell, fell this week and broke her hip, and she's in the hospital also. So we need to keep all of those people in our thoughts and prayers. Do we have other joys and concerns to share before we send her down? If not, let's all put ourselves on mute. I have a prelude to share, and then Sylvia is in charge of meeting for worship, and she will speak out of the silence following that. And I have to remember not to mute myself till I'm done playing the piano. I just almost did it in the wrong order.
Lynn, that's not coming through at all. So if you want to skip it, you may.
What?
That's not coming through at all. So if
Oh,
you,
I forgot to, okay. I'm sorry. I'm not used to, there's a button up here. Oh, I've not done this part before. There's someplace where, no. There is a spot where you can turn on, it's that problem we had before with music. And I don't know where it is.
that's all right.
Okay, maybe we don't have a prelude, or Brent, you're here.
Yeah.
You can be host and turn it on. I don't know where to turn the music button on.
I've got it on.
Okay, well, we'll go back and try again.
She's playing America the Beautiful, even though you can't hear it.
Okay. I think it's her setting on her Zoom, since it's at home.
Mhm.
We're going to have to change the setting on your machine, Lynn, so that it does the music.
I'll have to bring my computer to meeting and you'll have to show me later. Sorry for all the disruption to meetings for worship.
It's something that Zoom did to everybody's Zoom accounts that's on there. So if you're using your home computer and you want to use music, you've got to set it up for that in Zoom. Sorry. Well, I don't know why I'm sorry. I didn't do it. Well, welcome everyone. And are there joys or concerns to share this morning?
We did a bit of that earlier before I tried to play music.
Okay. Well, then I guess we'll just go into silence and Sylvia is our worship leader, so she will lead as she feels led.
Here's a bit of background on this holiday and its meaning. May 30th, 1868 was declared Decoration Day to honor the soldiers who fought in the Civil War. And there were an estimated 620,000 of them. It was called Decoration Day because flowers were placed on the graves of those lost in the war. If we include those lost to casualties, there were an estimated 1.5 million casualties in the Civil War alone. Casualties included those who were wounded or sick or captured or missing in action. But the number of soldiers who died in battle is equal to the total fatalities in the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Spanish-American War, World War I and World War II, and the Korean War combined. If we compare the percentage of the population who died in battle at that time to today's population, that number would be as high as 6 million casualties or deaths in that war. Decoration Day was changed, the name of the day was changed by some to Memorial Day as early as 1882, but it wasn't declared officially until 1967. I remember my parents referring to this day as Decoration Day. Flowers are still placed on graves of lost loved ones, but many of us honor loved ones who were not soldiers too. In many communities, flags are placed at the graves of those who lost their lives in a war. Yesterday, there were ladies selling yard flags at the entrance to the grocery store. And last evening, when we were driving through Marshalltown, we noticed that the Marshalltown big cemetery is sprinkled with lots of flowers and large flags along the driveways. Several of us who grew up in Indianapolis call this race weekend and participate more in the activities related to the race than those related to honoring soldiers. Sometimes the two events are combined. One of my memories of past celebrations include when I was a member of the Capital City Sweet Adeline's chorus, we stood on the steps of the Soldiers and Sailors Monument, singing the Star-Spangled Banner and God Bless America. In 1940, as World War II was looming, Irving Berlin composed God Bless America, but he said, it's not a patriotic song, but it's an expression of gratitude for what this country has done for its citizens, of what home really means. Well, most of us consider it a patriotic song, and some even would say it's the unofficial national anthem. I sometimes wonder if our input was invited about our choice of songs to be our national anthem, which of our classic patriotic songs would come to the top? I had asked Lynn to play America the Beautiful for that reason. That's my choice. Catherine Lee Bates was a teacher in Colorado in 1893 when she and several other teachers decided to go on a trip up Pikes Peak. They hired a prairie wagon, which took them most of the way to the top, but they needed to go the rest of the way on mules. Catherine says, I was very tired, but when I saw the view, I felt great joy. All the wonder of America seemed displayed there with sea-like expanse. Well, during the summer of 1983, Dale and I just happened to take a trip with the same destination. And when we got to the top of Pikes Peak in our Ford automobile, not on mules, we read an engraved plaque explaining the history of the song and realized that on that very day, 100 years before, Catherine Bates had written her poem after returning home from her adventure. Well, I thought that was a real sweet moment in time, but I don't mean for this message to be a push for a new national anthem. Rather, I have mentioned two words that I feel led to say more about. The words are patriotic and bless. Perhaps this weekend is a patriotic holiday on the calendar for you. What is patriotic? What does it look like when you are patriotic? According to Google, it's an adjective meaning inspired by love for your country, loyal, steadfast in intelligence, in allegiance, or duty to your country. Google also says it's respect for your country's flag. It's a desire to see your nation succeed and a deep, abiding love of your country. Those are all patriotic expressions. But being patriotic doesn't mean you think your country's perfect. You just love it. Patriotism generally has a positive connotation. It's used for various positive sentiments, attitudes, and actions involving loving one's country and serving the great good of all its people. I especially like this quote. Patriotism is not a short, frenzied outburst of emotion on certain events, but the tranquil and steady dedication of a lifetime. Adlai Stevenson said that. I thought it sounded even a little Quakerish, as we historically have resisted such once-a-year outbursts of emotion for Christmas or Easter. We'd rather engage in what we have learned from Jesus all the time. As patriotic people should engage in serving the great good of all of our people all of the time. We should be mindful of the great good we experience on a daily basis. We all do get discouraged at times about the messy politics, our broken health care system, the number of people being killed by illegal use of guns, and well, we could get bogged down in all the frustrations we feel. But if we could view this country from across the many oceans and perspectives and list the opportunities it offers that seem unattainable to the rest of the world, maybe we could live life with a little better attitude. Yesterday, Dan and I were speaking of sitting at the lunch table, having a discussion with Sylvester, our 25 or 26-year-old refugee from the DRC, as he explained how his family was attacked and then chased until they could flee out of the country. Dan said he could see the large scar on the arm of Sylvester's father, where he had been attacked with a knife when he worked in the hospital. Sylvester said their dreams were like those of so many they know, to come to the US where they could find safety and peace. They have been waiting 10 years for that opportunity to be here. Many people in this world will wait their whole lifetimes and never get the chance. They'd like to be patriotic in their own country. They'd like to be loyal toward their government, but that's not working for them. Do you think God has blessed America? Are we blessed, or are we just fortunate? If we are blessed, how are we blessed? You have heard me speak about blessings before, but it's been a while. There are several references to blessings in the Bible. Pardon me. In the Old Testament, blessings seem to be aligned with the privileges of being the firstborn in a family. It was common for the firstborn to receive twice the amount of inheritance as the others. You remember the story of Jacob and Esau when Jacob, with the help of his mother Rebekah, tricked his father Isaac into giving him the blessing that rightfully belonged to Esau. This was the blessing. May God give you of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you and nations bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you. I'm not sure that Isaac's blessing on his son relates to how God can or has blessed America. Certainly we have plenty of grain and wine, but I don't believe God intended for the United States to be Lord over the other nations of this world. And if he did, we likely wouldn't think that that was a good thing. How about if we study the meaning of blessing as used in the teachings of Jesus and the Beatitudes? in Matthew 5:3, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of God. I interpret those who feel a deep sense of spiritual poverty are to be given an extra portion of spiritual strength. Verse 4, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. I interpret, those of us mourning the death of Eden Grace will recall memories of how she connected us to the work of Friends United meeting in Kenya, and we will have an extra portion of gratitude for her life and witness. Verse 6, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. I interpret, those people who keep trying to do the right thing, whose conscience aligns with that of God, will succeed in dwelling with him. Verse 7, blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. I interpret, the merciful will receive an extra portion of mercy when they are in pain or are suffering in other ways. Verse 8, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. The pure in heart, as I interpret, will have an extra boost of vision, wisdom, and relationship with God. Verse 9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. I interpret, peacemakers will be noticed by others for their unusual ability to know what God needs for them to say or do. So in my mind, a blessing is an extra portion of what it takes to do God's will. It might mean answering his call when he needs our help, which could be stepping in to relieve suffering or stepping in to rebuild something that has been destroyed. It could mean realizing we have enough of what we need and we are called to share our abundance. Those extra portions may or may not be materialistic. They may be in terms of courage or wisdom, special talents or skills, strength, patience, forgiveness, or knowing how to love one another. God does not bless us with these extra portions to keep for ourselves, but rather to use them to help God attain his goal of building his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. God does not bless America with extra portions of leadership, educational resources, wealth, health, information, and resources, productive land, spiritual strength, and the list goes on. He does not bless America so that we can keep those blessings for ourselves. So I ask you, what blessings or extra portions have you received personally that God is needing for you to share? And what extra portions has our country received that are intended to help God build his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven? I'll read the words to our closing hymn. O Master, let me walk with thee in lowly paths of service free. Tell me thy secret. Help me bear the strain of toil, the fret of care. Teach me thy patience still with thee in closer, dearer company, in work that keeps faith sweet and strong, in trust that triumphs over wrong, in hope that sends a shining ray far down the future's broadening way, in peace that only thou canst give. With thee, O Master, let us live.
Thank you, Sylvia. We'll now continue on with unprogrammed worship for those who can stay. And those who need to leave, we bid you Godspeed and have a blessed day, since that seems to be one of the themes for our day. Blessings on you all. If all hearts are clear, I think we'll close meeting for worship this morning.
Everybody have a good weekend.
And a safe weekend around Indianapolis.
Yes.
Right.
Bye.
Around Massachusetts.
Safe weekend wherever you live, but especially on the crazy roads in Indianapolis this weekend.
Yeah, I try to stay off the roads.
Okay, take care all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Brent, what do I need to do to my computer to get it?
Nothing. I'll fix it for you.
Oh, okay. Thank